Hello, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're looking at absurd philosophical ideas, and let's start with holozoism. It's the idea that everything is alive. Absolutely everything, from rocks to literal pieces of metal. This glass is alive. Yes, that's holozoism. Basically, it's an idea that everything has a spirit, or at least it's a part of a greater world spirit. And in that sense, even this glass is alive. This glass should scream for help. But how do you scream without a mouth? That is a big philosophical question. Now, what are the defenses for such a view? You could think that there's like a big cosmic soul and everything is a part of the current of the universe. If the universe was like a river and it flows through some current, and that's how everything goes. Also, you could just look at how, if we think that humans have souls, if we start from the position that humans have souls, and then we look at, well, what are humans made of? Humans are made of electrons, protons, neutrons. So why shouldn't the rock that is made from identical electrons, protons and neutrons also have a soul? So maybe this is actually a genius idea instead of an absurd one. Now, of course, it can be easily criticized by, usually we would associate a soul with some sort of consciousness. And well, once again, this glass isn't screaming for help, but maybe that's just because it can't, because it doesn't have a mouth. But, well, who knows? But definitely something to think about. But it definitely is weird and unique of an idea. But I guess most people would just say that for you to have a soul, you would require some sort of consciousness, and we have no evidence that the rocks have a consciousness. We also don't have really any evidence for some certain soul in a sense anyway. Like most people would say that if we have a soul, it's probably impossible to observe in a scientific way. Also, many people just would say that the world is materialistic and no such thing exists, so of course then even humans don't have souls. And if you do believe that humans have souls and you're, for example, religious, most people who are religious would say that yeah, humans have souls, maybe animals have souls, but inanimate objects don't have souls because God didn't give them souls or something. So definitely not a popular idea, but maybe this is one that you can go and say that you claim to believe in, so you can be weird and quirky like everyone wants to be nowadays. Anyway, let's get on to the next weird philosophical idea, which is trivialism. Trivialism is the philosophical and the logical position that all statements are true, even contradicting ones. So basically you could say that trivialism is false, and that is true. Yeah, it's pretty weird, and it definitely goes against the traditional laws of logic that we ascribe to, which are of course the law of non-contradiction, that a statement cannot be true and false at the same time. But according to trivialism, every statement, including contradictory ones, are true. So you could say that this glass is empty and this glass is full, and they would both be true in trivialism. Now that is a weird position to take, and I think it breaks all logic and intuition that we have, but apparently some people believe this. Now I guess you could try to defend it by saying things like, well, what is logic based upon? Why shouldn't our logic just assume as an axiom that all things are true? In a sense, can you prove that wrong? And you probably can't prove it wrong. But I would say that that's a weird axiom to have for logic. So that's another idea that you can go and tell your friends that you believe in. Yes, I'm a trivialist. Now the third weird philosophical idea that we're gonna look up is antinatalism. And well, it's a view that reproduction is bad or ethically wrong. And it's one of the most absurd ideas in ethics, even though some people take it very seriously. And they make claims like, well, people don't consent to being born, so we shouldn't have children. Huh? I mean, did you consent to following laws? I didn't. I didn't write a contract saying I will follow laws or I will treat other humans with respect. Nobody does that. We don't consent to everything. Some things we just have to live with. Pun intended. And so, in a sense, it's a very weird idea that just because we don't consent to something, it's automatically bad. For example, most people don't consent to having to breathe air. You can't just not breathe and stay alive. But I didn't consent to having to fill my lungs with oxygen. Like, yeah, that's kind of the point. So it's definitely a weird idea. Especially when you ask people, would you rather live or not live? And 99.9% of people would definitely say, oh yeah, I'd rather be alive than dead. I would rather be alive than have never been born. And so, well, it's weird. That's the only way I can describe it. But maybe you can find some person who convinces you that actually all life is bad. So that's another one. So there was 3 philosophical ideas that are weird and not very common. And now you can go and explain how you believe in these ideas, and you're so different and you can get so much attention. But if these weird philosophical ideas don't make you into a weird enough and a quirky enough person, you can just always claim to be a woke, non-binary BMP-2, an amphibious infantry fighting vehicle.